It's better when it's not good.
Well, they all suck, but people keep tuning in, so I guess we're doing
Hey there,
something.
Bob from Oregon's Constant Gardener. Welcome to the OCG Fam Show. To you, my YouTube buddies, what's going on? Let me know in the comments and ask your questions down there for Scott, and we'll answer those next time, maybe. But this time, we're answering these questions. Oh boy, okay, this is not that hard. GLWdelivery.com. See, he got a plug in there. Has a question. He says, "Hey Bob, I have a question." See, about how to build up on the buildup on the top of the soil in week 4 of flowering, and I've already scraped the buildup once already. I'm guessing it's the chalkiness of the different newts I'm using. I use Kraken and believe that could be one of the reasons. It's the herc.
It's the herc.
It's the gum in the herc.
It's still the herc. Still going to be the herc.
Know about that?
No, I know, but the 42 other people that have seen this before still know it's the herc.
So
there's the herc.
Yeah, there's a gum buildup.
So
on the thing,
the herc has gum in it, and the gum is a protein that we use to emulsify the digest, because we digest the bones all the way down to its most available form, which would then be a liquid calcium phosphate, and to make that into a plant food that holds up in the soil, we have to add a gum to create the emulsification, to create body, create adhesion in the soil for the excess to adhere to create the magnesium chelation from cocoa fiber and compost and peat, because that bond between that calcium and the gum and the cocoa fiber become a microbial food for your bacteria and your fungi to live off of, releasing magnesium. So, the gum is very important.
What does emulsify mean?
It's to take a liquid and make it like a shake.
It's just
thickening.
It's a thickener. That's just all it is.
And a suspender. And something that puts it in the suspension and make it more...
Is it so that it stays mixed, kind of? Does that have something to do with it?
It helps.
It helps to keep it together instead of splitting up into things. Okay.
So that when you water that through, that material will want to filter off the top of your soil, so that layer on top is literally just the gum.
So you can scrape it off or not scrape it off?
You can scrape it off. You can let it build up for X amount of weeks. You can top dress some worm castings, put some mycorrhiza in there, put in compost teas, add SLF. Mm-hmm. If it gets really bad, you can get really aggressive and use like a hygrozyme enzyme to break it down.
Would that be a kill 'em McGillis situation with
that's
your
what I'm saying, excessive. I mean, if it's excessive, then you go for the cure-all, and then you go back to the microbial fix. So if you have to use hygrozyme, you're killing everything in your soil.
You start over.
You're not hurting your plant, you're just hurting the life, and then you just have to re-inoculate in a couple days.
So wouldn't it be better than if I just pick it off? It'd be better to mechanically.
Well, sometimes it's dense.
So much that you're going to mess everything up by doing that. So, okay.
But it's one that's a
common thing.
It's common. We've taken it out for some of the bigger commercial guys. We're not going to market 2 bone meals out in the industry. If it's a real problem and you just don't like it, one thing you can do is put some pantyhose over the outtake of or just let it settle and don't shake it. Because when you shake it, you're shaking the gum. There's no bone meal in the bottom of that container. It's the gum that then comes into suspension and then blends with the calcium phosphate liquids that then goes in. I would still shake it because I still think you'd be robbing yourself. But it's an important thing to us because it breaks down to proteins, organic acids, microbes love it, and the plants will absorb everything that's digested from it. Scraping it off is one way to do it. Scratching it's one way to do it. Or
keeping after it, as if you're gonna have a problem with it, know that, and then keep after scraping it.
Yeah, the smaller the containers, a lot of guys complain. The most complaints I hear is the guys in 1 and 2 gallon pots that go all the way through.
Oh.
Well, you got this much dirt, and you just put 15 gallons of bone meal through it, so it's going to be solid. If you're in a 15, 20 gallon pot, you get a little cake layer that you can literally either peel up or hit it with a good microbial, and it just gets digested. So,
it's
no real answer for it.
That's a good answer, and it was interesting. We dig a little deeper every time.
Not much. I mean, I'm just afraid sometimes we just start not saying the same thing because it gets to the point where we say it so often.
So this next question is from Keith McGreeny. It's a great gardener name. I'm gonna paraphrase the question. So he's using a Blumat system, okay, which is the
self-watering
system
that works on pressure,
little tubes. And he's wondering, he wants to use that for the bulk of his hydration because I guess maybe he's got to come and go or something. Doesn't want to dry it out, doesn't want to take a chance. But he's still using Nectar.
Yeah.
So when he's using the Nectar, should he just use less? Can he concentrate the Nectar more? Like
not advised.
Because it's too much.
Because it's just you go from 800 parts per million, you double that up to 16 just so you can get more food into a saturated system. Your plants aren't going to absorb it. It's like triple 16 nutrients. Yeah, it says 16, 16, 16. As it goes past the plant's pulling 215. And then everything else goes away or washes beyond. So if you double up, it's just you're wasting nutrition and risking the potential of harming things.
Because I thought, for me, the Blumat system was like, I'm going out of town for the weekend. It's a way to be not married to the plants where they're not going to die while you're gone, but you're still going to have issues with the nutrition if you're pushing hard with Nectar.
Yeah, but or you do a super soil and just get away from bottles, period, that Blumat's great. For houseplants, Blumats are great. For aggressively pushing indoor plants...
What are we doing?
Well, you just have to feed... You need to feed the regular recipe, because double strength is just scary. You can hurt yourself. You hurt the plants. But if doing regular strength, very small volumes absolutely
more
regularly.
Often? Yeah, okay.
Well, because if you add in, so if you're in a 5-gallon pot, you got your Blumat that's set out to 3/4 of an inch, so you're saturating all 5 gallons. That's not your measurements, don't go there. But if that's the case, and you give them a gallon of food, that Blumat's not turning on for a week because now your pressure's ruined by the input of that liquid. So to get them to work together, I would use the Blumat and I am going away for a week, set everything up 4 days before, make sure everything's working on that level, and then walk away. Yeah. If you're using it as a hydration point and are you just maintaining cannabis indoors or vegetables indoors, then I would just be feeding them 1 cup of food every single day, trying to get that in that top root zone while the plant's still being hydrated with the Blumat.
But one shot would be your game.
One shot's your game, but again, it's
you're not pushing hard. You're making just a regular plant.
It's a house plant at that point. That's going to fruit. It's going to do its thing, but you're not going to get mass yield. So the thing with Nectar and why a lot of these aggressive farmers like it is because they can push it and they know when to throttle it up to make more or throttle it back to reduce. And the Blumats are great. I remember the guy who brought them into our world. He used to work for us. It's good for maintenance of hydration, but you find that, you spend a lot less on nutrition, but you also get a lot less yield.
Yeah.
We're put in, get out kind of nutrient. So if you're not putting it in, you're not going to get it out.
That's what this is for. And if you're not doing that one shot or something else is your game. But if you're pushing, this is not going to be the way to do that.
It's hard to push because... What's the point of these? They're always hydrated.
Yeah.
So you can never push hard here.
And they never care.
Yeah. And then if you pull this out, then you have to feed them water all the time. So it's they're really cool systems. There's nothing wrong with a Blumat. But it's a tough way to, you can't just double up to get the punch because that could just fry all your root hairs.
Yeah.
And then you have to basically get in there and feed them super frequently just to make sure that there's always an input. But at that point, now
why didn't I just water? Yeah,
so it's a tough question to answer. We don't want to misguide you, but it's one of those where report back on what worked and didn't work, and we'll write it down.
There are people that have tried to make systems with this. I don't know of any that have done it successfully, but they've done
Blumats.
That kid was doing it. Remember, he was going to set up a whole grow like that with the Blumat.
And he's made claims, and then we've come in behind him and well, that didn't work. You can't. It's tough to go commercial unless you're synthetic or running a dual feeding system. But you can't run Nectar through them. So right there, that kind of defeats the purpose of having them unless you need to get out of town for 10 days, then they're awesome.
Well, that's the thing is you're married to your grow at some point. If you don't have something like this, you're there.
Well, most people are. Most of us have to pound that fucking check 8 to 5 every day, so we don't get to go on vacation. But when you do, those are great. When you're sitting at home, not worrying about who's watering and you are the watering guy, you can do a lot more aggression and get more feeding in just more control. I'm not a fan at pushing with the Blumat only because you run risks of root rot, overwatering. a lack of oxygen, and that all stems out to a less quality yield.
It's a great thing for some things, but if you're trying to grow a
I have
crop,
and they're great for especially the plants like house plants that need to have certain moisture levels.
They need to be here always.
And for this indoor garden, they work great. It's just it's a tough question to answer safely and but if you not double concentrate though. That's the answer. The short answer is no. Doubling them up only can cause problems in the long run.
There you go. We're moving today.
Yeah, that's not a very good show.
It's a great show. Josh Shankus says, now this is a good one. I want to talk to you about this. He says, can we see a comprehensive foliar feeding regimen? We got the comprehensive regimen that we worked out for a simple way to get started with the Nectar line. He would like to do that with foliar. I suspect that's a tough deal.
Because I can't give you a recipe for that. I don't know what's wrong with your plants.
So is that what it is? The foliar is more of a thing for fixing stuff than for a regimen?
Foliar feeding. Plants love foliar feeding. They do. But if we had a set recipe every day of, like full on can have a foliar feeding recipe.
Yeah, because it's a
micronutrients, trace minerals, and at 3 times a week, which I think is excessive for a mineral product. But if it was 3 times,
I think it's 2, as he's saying. 3 is really pushing. Yeah,
no, it's a great product, and it's great at both root zone and. But to just have a feeding regimen here and a feeding regimen for the root zone. There's a very good chance that one of these is going to offset the other, and we're going to get toxic levels rapidly. So to have your feeding regimen for your comprehensive kit, and then coming on top of that with a foliar feeding, with your kit, I would use foliar feeding as I'm looking at what the plant's deficient of, how it's reacting to what I'm putting in the root zone, and I'd be foliar feeding what it needs, what I'm lacking here.
Minus the BK, which is going to be...
Is it even in the comprehensive?
No.
You made the kit.
No, but Bloom Chaos is a different thing entirely. It's something you do on a schedule.
Bloom Chaos is literally throwing gasoline on a fire to see what happens. So if you throw gasoline like a little bit on there, it goes poof, and then it's done. But if you sat there and poured a gallon on there, you can blow your hand out.
Okay. But the other things, as far as using them in a foliar thing, it's a reactive to certain situations.
It is, and a lot of people reach out, and I think it's even in one of these questions is, can I use all these calcium products, mix it in with the Chaos as a foliar feed, or can I use Chaos in one foliar bottle and all the calcium products in another foliar bottle and spray one and then the other to get them to react? No, you can't.
Well, let's answer that question too.
You can't.
No. So if they're talking about using a foliar as a way of storing calcium to have the calcium for enough Bloom Chaos, it's got to come from the bottom up, is what we're saying.
Calcium is just not 100% available. It's very poorly available in the foliar level. So what most people do is when they foliar feed with any type of calcium, they come back and go, now I have mildew. And it's like, no, you just have stained white leaves because all that limestone and bone meal are now stuck on your leaf. The plant doesn't absorb calcium in efficiently through the foliage. The most efficient way is to do root drenching. And then you mix the two together, and it's just like going, I'm going to put oil and water together and try to foliar feed it. It's not going to work. So ideally, you want to use Chaos after the fact of using a liquid calcium in the root zone. So
how would I go about learning what's wrong with my plant or what it's facing so that I can foliar feed?
Well, the real lesson would be a Brix meter, and taking one branch and taking one product, taking 10 leaves, juicing it onto your Brix meter, looking at it, documenting the number where the white to blue disappear. So we're at 7. Then I foliar feed Medusa.
Okay.
5 minutes after it dries, I take 5 more leaves, I squish it down, I squeeze it onto the same plate, look through it, and if it goes up to 11, then whoa, that's a 35% plant response. They love that. If it stays at 7, they're indifferent to it. Whatever. I'm not using it. I don't hate it. If it goes down to 5, oh man, it did not want that, and it will show you. And you do that for every element.
You maybe, as you're going through your learning to be a gardener, you kind of play around with that a little bit and just.
Well, if you're learning to be a gardener, Brix is something you learn way down the road. Because you should just be learning simplicity.
So you'd focus on the
I mean, if I had to choose an all-in-one,
Yeah.
just a nice basic foliar recipe, Poseidon. I mean, you got your potassium, you got your trace elements, you got general health. Plants love foliar feeding with kelp.
Okay.
Full power, fulvic acid, another one of those great products that just the plants always love a good. You can always go okay with a full power. Athena's being amino acid based. You know, something that if you're trying to promote nitrogen or phosphorus or potassium, you know, those are tougher. Now you're getting into actual NPK products.
Send you an email and tell you what's going on. And get some
generally,
advice or
a
go to
good
your garden
picture
store.
and your slurry test is going to tell you what's happening.
Okay.
You know, if you're at a 7.3 pH and the root zone's at 120 parts, or no, yeah, pH is at 7.3 parts per million or 120, and the plants are anemic, then yeah, they're nitrogen deficient. You can tell because the pH is so high, the nitrogen's not available. The plant's starting to yellow out. One spray of a Pegasus on one branch, and you go, whoa, look at it green up overnight. Okay, so they needed nitrogen.
Okay.
So now I'm going to correct what's going on, because most of the problems we see are something that's happening in the root.
Sure.
The only time I really am like intensively, I mean, I love foliar feeding, but I intensely foliar feed when I'm trying to fix a root issue, and while I'm fixing the root issue, I'm foliar feeding the elements that they can't get because the roots have shut down.
Okay, I got a couple questions about that. One, when I'm having the problem in my root that I'm seeing up here, is that generally some sort of lockout situation, or am I not giving it enough of something?
Loaded
Who
question.
knows?
So if you haven't been paying attention,
and
you haven't done preventative flushes, or, you know, everything can be perfect at the beginning of the grow, but you never do a slurry test or a preventative flush.
Yeah.
Well, as microbes are breaking stuff down, as you're putting in things, as your meters are failing, whatever happens, if the pH starts to climb, the lower end of the nutrients start to fall off, and it's not locked out, it's not available. It's there, it's totally ready to go, but your plants aren't absorbing it because the pH, the potential of hydrogen is so high, it can't pull in these lower pH products.
So if I had to guess, it's very possibly a pH thing. Next to that, it could be some sort of lockout thing.
The lockout's usually a salt issue where you have so much salt, the plant stopped eating proteins, amino acids, and calcium, and now they're trying to eat the salt, because salt is literally the fast food of plant world. They love metals, they love salt. So once they start sucking up the salt, but eventually even their stomata and the root zone start to clog up from too much salt, so then that's where your lockout comes.
I guess what I'm getting at is that it's probably not that I didn't put the stuff in there, that I've got something going on, and so adding more magnesium down here because I got, or more phosphorus or more whatever,
if your numbers
that's not
are out
fixing
of whack,
the problem.
your doors are shut.
Yeah.
So throwing more stuff at a door when it's shut doesn't open the door, no matter what. So you have to literally fix everything down here, and while you're fixing that, that's the nice thing about foliar feeding.
So you
can keep everything at bay by foliar feeding every element except for calcium. Can be foliar fed and keep that plant healthy while you correct the root zone. If you're not foliar feeding because you have a potassium or magnesium or some kind of issue here, because your root zone's all messed up, and you're only correcting here, then these will continuously get worse until your roots are fixed.
Fix that, and then it's a little while delayed to there.
Oh yeah, and then you have a whole nother window of that. So, and you know, with most customers, that's the first thing we do is go, here's your foliar recipe while we're fixing your problem.
I gotcha.
But to just go, you know, all of us have our standard foliar recipes, but it's usually the building blocks of life. You know, we got calcium in the root zone, amino acids in the spray, proteins of nitrogen in the foliar feeding, or potassium, and that's what's keeping the plant stoked and bringing up nutrition.
So is that why I wouldn't use Gaia as a foliar, because I'd have a calcium situation going on?
There's a lot of bone meal in
Gaia, in there.
But,
so
I mean, but your plant's going to still access the proteins and the aminos in there, but you're not getting the calcium. So people that want to correct calcium deficiencies with Gaia, Demeters, Persephone, you're not. You're just wetting the plant with bone meal.
Okay. So Poseidon's a good all-in-one kind of hope for the...
Yeah.
It couldn't
vitamin
hurt
C for
my
humans
health.
in a sense.
Okay. So, but I can go and just spray a little bit of something. How much I put... I got a 32-ounce bottle. How much I put in there for like a test spray to see if I'm going to get a reaction from some...
I always start at about 5 mils per quart.
And just what would be like 3 or 4 things that you might try if you don't know what the heck's going on and you're trying to fix your plant, would you just say Poseidon's the best one? Are there any other good?
Well, no. Again, it comes down to what's
wrong.
Yeah. I mean, that's what
people
want. There's no answer to that question unless there's like, okay, well, here's the 12 questions to ask you. Yeah. So these are the answers to these foliar
And
feeds.
you learn that by getting some help from somebody, not by experimenting.
Well, both. Well, yeah, I mean, I've killed more plants than any of you've ever grown. So that's the reality. Is if you're not killing some shit, you ain't learning stuff. And so you have to learn, and that's why I do, when I look at a whole plant and I want to see what's going on, this branch is the one I'm going to torture.
Sure.
If I kill this branch, I can cut that branch off.
Move on.
It doesn't go, and let's just kill it like 2,4-D. It's potassium. It's not going to over-potassium a plant. But it may make it look mad. But running a single element, a potassium product, so, liquid kelp.
Yeah.
A nitrogen product, Pegasus. Something's going to show you how the nitrogen or amino acids have nitrogen in it, so that. Humic acid, that's great to add to all of them for more stomata, but I'd stick with full power fulvic acid. It's more available. Guano teas, because of the phosphorus in that, would be a good phosphorus to find out if your plant's that. Or, going out and not to, promote another brand of anything, and most of it's synthetic, but raw products, they're literally just...
Oh, it's one thing. It's
a
bottle of an element.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to kind of see
it. It's all big ag stuff, just packaged down for convenience for the small grower.
But
you can get nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, and potassium in their own soluble element. Okay. And as a toolbox, you're not growing with it. You're not producing fruit with it. You're literally testing this branch to see if you need NPK or what.
I got you.
Then when you figure that out, then you go to your bottles that you're using, and that's what you're doing to correct the issue with a natural product versus dealing with a salt product.
So they've just taken the big truckload of whatever from the farm, and they put it into a bottle so you can have just that thing. I got you.
Which is great, because a lot of people are buying bottled water with NPK in it with dye. And that's great, but you can build most of these products by going to the raw shelf and getting all the salts, mineral salts, and making your own. We like those. I mean, we keep those. Well, we have access to all these salts, but we have tubs of every one. So when we go to a farm and we need to know what, because generally I can tell you online, we can look at your pictures, we can look at your numbers, and we can get you on tracks. Every once in a while we'll have a disease, a virus, some new pest that's showing up that nobody's seen yet, and we're starting to try to figure out what is happening to this plant. Things that we're not aware or have never seen on the foliage before. Then these salts come in great as a foliar test to find out what this one plant is doing.
What it's lacking exactly.
Yeah, and why. And then we discover, okay, maybe this pest or this fungus or this bacteria, something is consuming this element, and why. So now we got to figure out what to do with that bug, creature. Then how to correct the issue with the NPK that we work with. So the salts are cool in that sense. For testing. For lab work, they're great because they're soluble, they're easy, they're stable. You can put Ziplocs and you have NPK, you have magnesium, boron. And we have them for every element that a plant would need or want. And we can test every branch on a plant. We'll kill a lot of plants just doing that. Like, all right, we'll take this whole plant. So the whole garden sucks. So this branch will be boron, magnesium, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and we hit them all. And we can even do calcium, but it's a calcium chloride, which we don't promote ever using in the root zone because it does destroy bacteria. It's chloride.
Yeah, it's no good. But for this
calcium, that's the only calcium we know that is foliar fed and available. Not a good source, but it tells us calcium deficiency. Right. Or we send them with blame chaos, and it's like, well, there was calcium deficiency. So the foliar feed regimen.
Not so much.
I don't want to give you anything, only because I don't know where your plants are, what's in your soil, what we're making available. It's it's learning how the plants respond. You can always play one branch at a time. With any foliar recipe, I get a lot of foliar recipes from people. I'll take the whole plant, I'll put a twist tie around one branch, I'll foliar feed that one branch, and I'll give it 2 days. If that plant did this, then I'm like, the whole plant's getting it. Yeah. If it does this, then I'm throwing that recipe away. I'm emailing the guy who gave it to me, and then we got to fight.
All right.
So I don't want to be the guy who's going to be in the fight, because I don't want you getting mad at me when I give you the one that does this.
You got to figure it out. Every plant's different.
You play one branch at a time. Half strength, quarter strength, then full strength.
Well, it seems like it'd be a good thing to have a little corner of your garden that was your You're experimenting, you know?
Or grow enough to where if you lose one, you're not devastated.
Yeah.
You know, that's the hard part is if you only have 4,
it's a tough
and
deal.
you're killing one all the time, then you really only have 3 and a bastard child that you don't care about.
It's good times.
And then there was that one.
Yeah?
There's another question. I'm trying to think of what that one was. It came in on another. Oh, the one-shot soil, hero soil that we.
Oh, people have been asking about that. You're talking about because you're doing some custom soil blends for some things and stuff like that. People are like, "Hey, I gotta get me some of that hero soil."
Yeah.
What's the deal?
It's not available.
Why not?
Because.
God damn it.
Well, if you worked with the Department of Ag on any level, it's called registrations. And without a registration, then you pay a big fines.
Well,
because
and
it's so scary to put out, peat cocoa-based soils with prilled nutrients in it.
but let me ask you this. I mean, I know it suits their purposes, but as a general purpose, throw it out to the masses soil. I mean, is someone...
Oh, it will be.
It's
It's something that the farms that want to do more automation, more water only, they love the product. We are working with some super soil experiments right now that definitely have shown good. The other thing, we're not the company that just wants to pump out product to put new labels out there. It's if it doesn't work like 99% of the time, then we're not going to produce it. So.
Yeah, well, because something may work for them because they got some weird setup and it may be awesome. Yeah. You take it over here and it's terrible in a general.
And then that guy's mouth is this big and is screaming it while this guy over here is like going, it's really good, but I'm not going to tell anybody. But this guy's like, these guys suck for everything they do, and then it gets destroyed. So it's not one that we don't rush to anything. We still have 3 liquid products that we're about ready to launch, but we're still like, well, maybe we should go to this next farmer and really make sure that we're getting what he said because, the whole industry is just quick to grabbing it, labeling it, throwing it on the shelf, like then asking for forgiveness in a year from now when you realize it's shit.
It's like those foldy phones.
What are you talking about?
The foldy phone. They made the foldy phone and it broke the next day.
Oh, you mean the bracelet, stupid $2,000 one?
Samsung. They made this phone. It opens up like it folds open. Yeah, it's a double bubble phone, and they put them out to all the reviewers, and then a bunch of them broke the next day.
Well, it was like the iPhone 8 and 10 or so skinny. The first fat guy sat on it, broke it, and then they broke.
Yeah, one that caught on fire. I'm not saying your stuff's going to catch on fire.
Maybe they need to be like, all right. You need to sit on that. Yeah, this phone's not for you.
We're gonna get my front pocket. I can't put a phone in my bag. Hello? This is not going to bend on you.
Yeah, you're not bending this phone. As a matter of fact, you ain't going to sit on it either. So you know what? I kind of feel bad for the world.
Yeah. Me too.
Everybody's guaranteed.
It's a tough deal.
It is. Yeah. It's hard to make things for people. It's hard to be a manufacturer in today's world.
Yep.
It's just a tough one.
Yeah, you got a tough life.
So I had this customer make me some cookies.
You did?
And they're not
good?
Oh, no, they're good. They're good. The downfall is they broke in shipping.
Oh. Well, that's okay.
And they're not.
I'm going to try a little piece here. All right. See? A lot of times when you get the ones that are kind of crispy, they're bad. But these are good. I like them. It's got a nice... No, I'm wrong. I don't like it. It's got pepper or something in it.
800 Scoville. I love it.
You tricked me.
I didn't trick you. I said, it's a cookie, and you ate some. Now you're eating more. It's addictive because it tasted like cookie. Yeah, you're like, oh man, this is pretty good. I really like it. And all of a sudden you're like,
something all right.
Crap.
800, is that a lot?
Not really.
No.
Although Carlos still won't eat it, and Valente won't eat it. But
isn't it odd that Mexico, which you would think is the home of hot stuff, they don't really like the hot stuff?
Guatemala. Oh. You go down like Oaxacan tribe and Guatemala, and you go further south, they get way crazier.
This is really hot. I don't think I can point Guatemala on a map. Is it Central America? Like in the little...
Here's Mexico right here on this 8 province right there on South America.
This is hot.
Well, if you keep slamming them in there, you don't give it any time to let it chill out. The nice thing is now, in like 2 minutes, it's gone.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, he's this gentleman, I believe he's out of Fresno. Or no, sorry, not Fresno. Reno. Yeah, in the Reno area, grows some hot peppers. He makes us a sauce.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to eat crispy cookies with these.
Yeah, I can imagine.
No, I stuck on.
Good times.
The
Shows
he makes
really
the
dragging.
hot sauce.
Yeah.
It's good.
We should check that out.
Good cookie though.
It is. Thanks for stopping by.
It was something. Sorry.
I love you. Scott loves you too.
Mm-hmm.
That's the show.